So obviously last year the Chargers didn't have a great season, and really their defense was at times just abysmal, especially against the Raiders when they gave up 63 points. However, week 1, things went pretty well. The Raiders had 12 possessions and only scored 10 points in the game. And while they did have multiple fumbles and an interception here, still, I think you got to give a lot of credit to the Chargers for what they were able to do. And the question is, what are they doing differently? And schematically, things have actually changed a ton. So that's what I want to talk about in today's video. Let's start off with the play you see on the screen. I have circled a safety on this play. You see that he's kind of in position to where he could be running deep or could be running in. It's not exactly clear for the Raiders. That is the coverage that the Chargers are going to be running right here. It's a cover 3 zone, and this is very different than what the Chargers were doing with Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley hated a single safety deep coverage. He always wanted to have multiple safeties deep, because in this situation, towards the sideline, really there's only going to be one guy who can cover there. So when Davante Adams is going to be running a go route towards the sideline, yeah, this is concerning, and this is exactly what Brandon Staley was trying to prevent. However, watch what happens. You're going to see that Minshew looks in that direction, tries to look the safety off a bit because there is a safety deep, and does so successfully. This is a one-on-one matchup. You're going to see Minshew decide to take this chance, as most teams would do if they have Davante Adams. However, here, Asante Samuel's going to do a pretty good job, and they don't get the completion. Yes, you're more vulnerable in these situations, but that seems to be the strategy that defensive coordinator Jesse Minter is going with here. It can backfire at times. Something like this, it's a 3rd down and 2. They're going to be playing a single safety deep coverage. It's actually a blitz, cover 1 blitz right here with a 5-man rush. Minshew takes the snap, and you see there's a one-on-one matchup. And so, okay, again, peculiar position. And this time, the Raiders' tight end right here is going to win. He makes the catch. They pick up the 1st down. Good job by him. But this is kind of what the Chargers are trying to do. They are more willing to leave themselves open for a passing attack because they still feel like they can trust their guys to at least try and win one-on-one, as opposed to playing zone where these zone busters can beat you. And in return, stuff like this can happen where, hopefully for the Chargers, it can make their run defense better. The Chargers' run defense, kind of by design, was terrible with Brandon Staley. He wasn't putting much of an emphasis into stopping it. And the Chargers are, I'm not going to sit here and say that they're going to just go all out to stop the run now, but they're kind of having more of a traditional defense, which is on a 4th and 1, they're going to try and stop the run, right? Which I think Brandon Staley would too, but, maybe on a 3rd and 3, Staley wouldn't. The Chargers might. I got to highlight Poona Ford. I thought he was really good in this game. The Chargers, one of the issues they had these past couple years is just not really having a guy that was winning too much on the interior. Edge rushers are obviously fantastic. But here, watch Poona Ford kind of get right by the offensive lineman who's going up against. He takes out the tight end and gets to the running back for the tackle. They do not pick up the 1st down on that play. Just sometimes it's as simple as having a guy who can win there, but it's also putting more resources in the box, right? They're trusting their players to win, and you know what? It could go wrong, but I do think Brandon Staley kind of maybe overthought things. In Staley's defense, he did do a very good job with the Rams when he had guys like Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. However, I think this is probably the correct approach. Is you can't just abandon run defense. As much as we want to say it's a passing league, run defense still matters, and it seems to me like Jesse Minter gets that. A play like this is another interesting one where it's a zone coverage concept, and I do think that it's fair to say the Chargers are still struggling when they're playing cover 2. Maybe it's just as simple as this personnel doesn't really work with the cover 2 zone that Brandon Staley loves to run, that we saw Minter at times run in this game, because you're not just going to play one coverage, right? Watch how when Minshew takes the snap, he's going to look down the field, fires towards Davante Adams, and Adams is wide open right here. This is not really a great job by the Chargers on this one. Minshew hits it. Adams is able to, do some nice stuff in open space as well, although a decent tackle, I would say, but still not the ideal situation there. And part of this, I wonder if it comes down to communication a little bit. And speaking of communication, I'm going to go over to this one. It's another zone coverage concept, but what I did like about this with the Chargers that not only did I not really see the Chargers doing this last year, I hardly see any team do it as much as what I saw them do, is they're just talking to each other constantly, which is really good. You see the player that I had circled, you see how he's communicates with someone towards his right. Then also you're going to see those 3 Chargers players who I've circled. They're communicating with each other, kind of understanding who's covering who, right, where everything goes. Even when a player is in motion, you see more communication. Minshew looks down the field, and he doesn't love what he sees because they'd have everyone covered. Unlike that play I showed you last time, this time they communicated properly, got to their rotations properly, and now have everything covered up. Because of this, Minshew tries to rush instead, but it doesn't work out as Bosa just trips him up. Minshew does not pick up the first down. This is exactly what the Charger defense wants, and it's something that we didn't really see with Brandon Staley. So that's kind of what I think I saw most of, and I think one thing that has to be mentioned that I haven't really mentioned yet is, so I brought up how, Asante Samuel Jr. able to do good work against Adams one-on-one. Adams still had his moments, but I thought he did a pretty good job when they were lined up in those situations. There is something to be said about who's throwing the football, though, and Gardner Minshew isn't exactly known for his cannon of an arm, and this could have simply just been a situational thing. Now, Chargers are playing the Panthers next week, so I don't know if we're going to get it tested next week either, but you do have to wonder, are you leaving yourself open to get burned down the field, especially if they try this against, Kansas City? I don't think they will. But I think the Chargers coaching staff is smart enough in this situation to understand that they're not going all out to stop the run. And that's not what I saw. I didn't see a team now we got to go the other way and make sure we're stopping the run. It was more so just having a more traditional defense and being willing to pick your spots, and at certain points say, this feels like a running play, let's try and stop the run, or this feels like a passing play, let's try and stop the pass, and running coverages that they're better at, which worked. I think it'd be an overreaction to sit here and say the defense is fixed after 1 week. As I mentioned, I do think there still were some defensive issues that they need to work on, specifically in zone coverage. But I like the communication. Usually zone coverage gets better as the year goes on. That's typically how it works, especially in the first year of a new scheme. So I think so far, like I said, it would be an overreaction to sit here and say, oh, well, clearly the defense is fixed. But I think it would not be fair to say the defense isn't getting better. I think the defense does already look better simply with a coaching change. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. Before I go, I'll just mention I do have a movie channel. If you like watching movies, check that out. The link is in the description below. It's Jackson Kruger Movies. But, yeah, again, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.